All right, this is going to be my list of the top 100 NBA players for this 2024-2025 NBA season. These videos were made, all of these ranking videos were made before the season started, so they just, I just didn't really have time to upload them before the season. So this is coming out like a week and a half or so into the actual NBA season, but still, these are preseason, 100% based on preseason thoughts, not judging the first couple of games of the year. So starting off here with honorable mentions, I got Benedict Mathurin, Clint Capella, Oscar Thompson, Alex Caruso, Norman Powell, Jalen Suggs, Jaime Jaquez, Terry Rozier, Tobias Harris, and Jonathan Kuminga. So now getting started at number 100, Keegan Murray. I think he's going to be good. I don't think he's going to progress basically at all from where he was last year. They get DeMar DeRozan on this team, so his role is going to be diminished a little bit because of that. So I think he drops a few spots. He's still going to be a very, very good player here for the Kings. 99 is going to Malik Monk. Kind of the same thing there with him. I think he's going to be slightly better than Kevin Huerter, than Keegan Murray, just because I think his role is not going to be impacted as much because he is coming off the bench anyways. Number 98, Dante DiVincenzo. I think he takes a lesser role here in Minnesota than he did in New York last season. Also, his playoffs were very, very good, so that helped him out quite a bit. Still think he's a top 100 player in the league, but not quite as good as he was last year. Number 97, CJ McCollum. I think he's going to take a pretty big fall off. They get DeJounte Murray on this team. That kind of takes away CJ's point guard roles, which I think is going to, taking the ball out of his hands quite a bit is going to obviously make him a worse, or at least worse stats. I also think his efficiency is going to take a little bit of a hit this year. I just think he's going to have a kind of an off year compared to recent years, but I do think he's still a solid player, not necessarily a all-star-esque player like he could have been last year. 96, number 41 last year. He played if I'm remembering right, he played 26 to 27 minutes a game, and his per 36 numbers were just amazing. So I did kind of inflate him quite a bit because of that. Looking back on it, I don't necessarily agree with that inflation just because, it's kind of unfair to kind of base so much off per 36. I still think he's going to be a really good player. He's going to be a solid scorer. He could average 22 to 25 points a game. I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't think his efficiency, I don't think is going to be great. His other numbers outside of scoring isn't going to be that great either. 95 doesn't sell. He was 43rd last year. He was really solid. I just don't think he's going to progress at all this year, honestly. Getting Chris Paul, getting Harrison Barnes, that's gonna I think kind of hinder his game because he's not gonna be able to be as much of the focal point of the offense as he was last year. Wemby is going to improve, and getting those other guys in there, I think, is going to kind of just mess with his game a little bit. 94 is going to be Chris Middleton. I'm going to drop him 40 spots from last year. He's getting older. He's injured currently. I don't really know how I feel about his game. I don't think he's going to really progress. I don't think he's going to be the same player he was last year. He's getting older. His efficiency has already kind of been dipping the last couple of years, so I think it dips a little bit again this year. He's still going to be a solid player, just nowhere near where he was a year ago. 93 is going to be D'Angelo Russell. He's kind of on the same level as he was a year ago, but I do think the Lakers getting better depth pieces this season is going to kind of make his numbers just slightly worse. 92, Bradley Beal. I think, again, kind of the Suns getting better depth pieces is going to take a lot off of Bradley Beal, in my opinion. Getting Tyus Jones to be another ball handler now makes the top two ball handlers, even the top three ball handlers, you could say, are Tyus Jones, Devin Booker, and KD, and then Bradley Beal's like the fourth best ball handler. So he doesn't really get as much attention on offense now. 91 is going to be Kobe White. He's going to be roughly the same type of player he was a year ago. I think he has the opportunity to be better without DeMar DeRozan, but I do think getting Josh Giddey to kind of be more of a lead ball handler on this team is going to make Kobe White's progression kind of stagnant. Number 90 is going to be Onyeka Okongwu. I think he's going to be better than he was a year ago, just a little bit. I think he's going to be better than Clint Capella for sure. I think he should be starting over Clint Capella, but that's just me. I think he's going to has the potential to average 20 and 10 off the bench. Number 89, Klay Thompson. 85 last year, obviously a down year. I don't think he really progresses at all this year. His points per game and efficiency could, well, no, I don't think his points per game go up. I think his efficiency could go up a little bit, but his points per game probably stays the same. His, you know, other stats, rebounding, defense was not very good last year. I don't think it's going to be much better this year. 88 from Gordon. I think he drops quite a bit of spots here. I mean, he's kind of a guy that's he's really good for you when it comes to the playoffs. Also, the Nuggets, they're obviously going to make the playoffs, but I don't think he's going to be as good in the regular season this year. He's getting a year older. He's like 31, I think 31, 32 years old. Um, if I think so. I definitely could be off about that. But also, the Nuggets have better depth this year than last year, so that could hurt his numbers there a little bit as well. 87 is going to be Bobby Portis, kind of the same type of player that he was just a year ago. 86 is going to be Deni Avdija. Takes a little bit of a step up. I think he's just going to get that natural progression. I think being in Portland, also could be good for him as well. 85, Jaden McDaniels. He was underranked last year. He was really good in the postseason. I think he takes a little bit of a step up this season, and he's going to be a great two-way player here for Minnesota. Number 84, I think he takes a small step down from last season, mostly because, I don't really know. I don't really know why. I just think maybe last year was kind of he was chasing. It kind of felt like he was chasing that Sixth Man of the Year award. This year, he's not necessarily chasing it because he already has one. So he might take a very small step down. 83, Josh Hart takes a little bit of a step up, actually. I think he's going to be really good here for New York. He was great in the postseason. I think he kind of takes that postseason role and kind of magnifies it a little bit more towards the entire season and solidifies himself as a really, he's obviously been a really good player, but I think he just takes even a bigger step up from last year. 82, Kyle Kuzma, his honorable mention last year. I think with the Wizards being without, Deni Avdija now, they're without Tyus Jones. I think he's going to have to take more of the responsibility on offense. I think he does pretty good at that job and gets himself into the top 100 again. Number 81, Jrue Holiday. He was good last year. I think he takes a small step down. He's getting older. The Celtics have better depth, I think. Even the younger guys, Peyton Pritchard, Sam Hauser, guys like that off the bench are just going to get a little bit better this year. So maybe Jrue Holiday isn't as needed. Also, his postseason numbers were pretty good last year, so he could maybe fall a little bit because of that. Number 80 is going to be Cam Whitmore. He's going to be an absolute dog this year. Probably in conversation for the most improved player as a second-year guy. He's going to be really good for this Rockets team. 79, Austin Reeves. Takes a step down, in my opinion. He was really good in the playoffs here for the Lakers. I don't think he's going to, necessarily need as big of a role this year. They have better depth. Dalton Knecht is kind of the same type of player as Austin Reeves. So those two guys very well could be fighting for minutes against each other. And because of that, I think Austin Reeves' numbers kind of fall quite a bit. Number 78, Cam Thomas. This Nets team has nobody else to score the basketball. He's going to have to average, 27 points a game for them to even be competitive. So because of that, I do think he's going to average probably close to 27 points a game this season and be one of the best players, one of the better players in the league. Not one of the best, but still one of the better players here. 77, Alexander Sarr as a rookie. He is my pick for Rookie of the Year. He's the number 2 overall pick. A lot of people thought he was going to go number 1 to the Hawks. But going to the Wizards here, the Wizards, again, they don't really have anybody else to score to do much for this team. Kyle Kuzma, again, like I said, is going to be really good for them. But Alexander Sarr could be a very good piece. He should be their focal piece of this team because, again, he is our number 2 pick. Everything should be going through him if it can, right? I think he's going to have a really solid year. 76, in Sharp, who was in the most last year. So coming into this season, I have very high hopes, very high expectations for Shaedon Sharpe. I think he could be a very good player off the bench, average 20-plus points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, solid defense. He's going to be a great player this year. 75, kind of the same type of player he was last year. Very good scorer here for Toronto. 74, Fred VanVleet takes maybe a small step down. I think the Rockets have better guys that are going to take a step up. I think Jalen Green takes a step up. I think Cam Whitmore takes a step up. So that could kind of take a little bit of away from Fred VanVleet. 73 is going to be Isaiah Hart. I think he takes a step up this year. He's going to be injured till at least December or so that hurts him there a little bit. But again, with being on this OKC team, I think his numbers are going to magnify. He was very good in the postseason. The only reason he's in the top 100 last year was because of his postseason numbers. So if he can kind of produce like he did in the postseason here for the majority of the regular season, that already will make him one of the better. That already will make him quite a bit higher on this list than he was last year. 72. RJ Barrett. I think he falls a few spots here. I think the Raptors again are going to kind of lean on some of their young guys rather than heavy loading RJ Barrett and stuff like that. So I think most of these veteran starters are going to kind of take a little bit of a dip with their numbers because they're going to play a lot more of the young guys. I feel like they're going kind of into a rebuild season from the start. 71 is going to be Odin. I mean, he was a good player for the Knicks last year. He's going to be right around the same type of guy. Maybe a little bit worse because they do have, better pieces like Karl-Anthony Towns on this team. Number 70, Franz Wagner is going to be right around the same type of guy he was a year ago. He was really good for Germany in the Olympics, but I don't really put too much attention into that going into this season. 69, Michael Lucier, I think take a little bit of a step down. He got his bag, so maybe he just tries a little bit less because of that. They also have like I said about the other Nuggets guys, they have better depth this season, so he's not going to need to be as good. Also, he usually steps up in the playoffs, and that kind of raises his numbers towards the end of the season. 68 is going to be Miles Turner. Drops a few spots here. I don't think he progresses really at all. I think they have better depth guys. They have James Wiseman on this team, who could be really solid backup center for them. 67, Miles Bridges could be around the guy for the Hornets. Average 20 plus points a game, a solid amount of rebounds, and does not much else, but still really solid player here. 66, Jarrett Allen. Personally, I think he takes quite a bit of a step down offensively. His defense should still be there. Offensively, I don't think he really is as involved this year as he was maybe in previous years. So I think he does take a bit of a step down, but still really good player for the Cavs. 65, Nick Nurse. The Nets. The Nets don't have a whole lot going for them. He should be, slightly improved from last year at least. Number 64 is going to be Mark Williams. He was injured for the most of last year, so I think he's going to come back this year and be a really good player. He was really good last year when he did play, but he just didn't play much. So coming into this year, I have high hopes for him. He could easily average 20 points, 10 assists, 2 blocks a game here for the Hornets. Number 63, Anthony Simon. I think he could take a small step down from last year. They're getting Deni Avdija on this team. If Shaedon Sharpe is healthy, Scoot Henderson probably gets better this year. So Simon's role is going to be diminished a little bit. Just because it kind of has to make room for these other guys. Number 6, I think he takes a little bit of a step down. Like I've said with Jrue Holiday, they kind of just have better depth on this team, and also I think they're going to be coasting quite a bit through this regular season, so his numbers might not be, as good as they were last year. 61 is going to be Darius Garland for the Cavs here. I think he takes a little bit of a step up. I think last year was certainly a down year for him. I think he kind of gets in this groove a little bit and improves this season. Number 60, I got Brandon Ingram. He's going to drop a little bit from where he was last year because they're getting DeJounte Murray on this team. So his numbers are probably going to drop a little bit because of that. Still going to be a very good player this season. Number 59, I think he drops quite a bit of spots here. He's going to be injured for 6 or so weeks at least. Again, they have better depth on this team, so his numbers are going to have to be a little bit less because of that. Also, his postseason numbers inflated his ranking last year, so I just think he's going to be a little bit worse this year and take a quite a bit of a step down. 58, Julius Randle should be around the same type of player he was last year, maybe a little bit better in Minnesota, just because they're going to have to rely on him, I think, more than New York did last year. 57 is going to be Jalen Johnson. I'm a big fan. I think he's going to take a pretty big step up. The Hawks lost, DeJounte Murray. Obviously, they got Zachary Ricochet or whatever his name is. But I do think Jalen Johnson takes a pretty big step up in the absence of DeJounte Murray. 56, Tyler Joe. I think he takes a pretty big step up as well. I think he averages close to 25 points a game on really good shooting this season for Miami. 55 is Jaden Ivey. He was unranked last year. I was really high on him coming into his career. Really, I was high on him coming into last season, but he wasn't he was underwhelming. This year, I'm going to be very high on him again. I hope he does not disappoint. He's one of my favorite players to watch. I think he could easily average close to 23 to 25 points a game, 7 assists, 6 or so rebounds as well. Solid defensive player. 54 is going to be Rudy Gobert. Maybe a small step down this season, just because I think, you know, I think they have better depth as well than they did last year. I think they're going to. I think he's not going to be chasing Defensive Player of the Year. Victor Wembanyama is probably going to get that. So I think he takes a very mild step down. 53 is going to be DeJounte Murray. The Pelicans team has more talent than the Hawks did last year, so his role should be diminished a little bit because of that. 52 is going to be Jeremy Grant. He plays his team. I just think he's going to kind of mesh better with this team than he did last year. He kind of had to do a whole lot. There's a whole lot of different injuries going on, which kind of messes with the flow of his game. So I think if they're healthy this year, he's going to have a solid a year. He had to do a lot last year because they were injured a lot. So I think he takes a small step down, but still a really, really good player this season. Number 50, Zach LaVine. He was injured last season, so he was unranked. I think he comes back this year and is really, really good. You know, averages 25 plus points a game, solid rebounder, solid assists. Like he's going to be, you know, an all-star caliber player like he was before injury. 49 is going to be again, he might take a small step down because this Knicks team has a lot of talent, but still a very, very good player. Number 48, Jalen Green. I think he can take a very big step up from last season. He took a pretty big step up from, you know, pre-All-Star break and post-All-Star break last year. So if he plays like he did post-All-Star break, he's going to be a top 50 player this year. 47, John Hayden. Personally, I think last year was a down year for him. I think he takes a big step up this year. More efficient. I think he averages 25 points and 12 boards a game for the Blazers. Number 46 is going to be Cade Cunningham. I don't think he really progresses much from last year. So if he can just kind of be the same type of guy he was, he's still a top 50 player in this league for sure. 45, Jaren Jackson. He was injured last year quite a bit. His game was kind of off. I think he's going to progress quite a bit this season. Be a solid, 20 plus point per game scorer, 10 or so rebounds, 2 to 3 blocks a game. He's a really good defensive player. I think he's going to get back to an all-star caliber player this year. 44, Jamal Murray. He's going to drop a few spots here. Again, he kind of is a playoff riser, so the end of season rankings, kind of inflate him because of his postseason numbers. But regular season, he's not quite as good. 43 is going to be Jalen. He was really good last year. I think he takes a little bit of a step up this year as well. 42 is going to be Brandon Miller. He's 100 last year. I think he is a very, very big leap. I could definitely see him averaging 25 points and 7 rebounds a game this season. I think it's going to be very, very, very good. Number 41, DeMar DeRozan. This Sacramento Kings team has a lot more talent than the Bulls did, so I think his role is going to be diminished a little bit. He's not going to be averaging 25 plus points a game probably, but easily could be a 20-point game. 20-point, 5 rebound, 5 assist guy, which is still very, very good. Top 41 player here. Number 40 is going to be Chet Holmgren. 59 last year as a rookie. I think he takes a step up because, again, he was only a rookie last year. So being a top 40 player, certainly doable for him. Number 39 is going to be Alvin Sengun. Have the same player he was last year. I'm not really sure how much progression he's really going to have. He would have to go absolutely dominant. Like, he's basically a baby Nikola Jokic, so he basically has to get as dominant as Nikola Jokic, or at least on that trajectory to really improve his game, which I just don't think he's going to really do that. Number 38 is going to be Lauri Markkanen. He takes a small step down here. He's still a very good player, very good scorer. I just think he might take a very small step back. Number 37 is going to be Zion Williamson. I think he takes a small step back. Again, they're getting better guys, DeJounte Murray on this team, so Zion's role could be a little bit less because of that. But still, very, very good player. Number 36 is going to be Scottie Barnes. He could take a step up this year slightly. He's still young. I think he's still going to be progressing. He's going to be very good for Toronto. Number 35 is going to be Bam Adebayo. He's going to be the same type of guy he was last year. Average close to 20 and 10, maybe two blocks a game or so. Very good player for Miami. 34 is going to be James Harden. He could end up being higher on this list because Kawhi Leonard is going to be injured for who knows how long. So James Harden could kind of have to go hero ball. But I still do have Kawhi Leonard in these rankings. Again, because we really don't know when he's going to be um, healthy. Number 33 is going to be LaMelo Ball. He was injured this last year as well, so he wasn't really ranked, but I do think he's a very good player, all-star caliber player. Easily could average, 27 points, 10 assists, 7 boards. I think is very doable for him. He's a very good player. 32 is going to be Pascal Siakam. He was very good last year. His postseason stats definitely inflated his ranking. But still, I think he's a very good player for this Pacers team. Top 32 player for him. 31 is going to be Evan Mobley. I think he takes a pretty big step up from last season, offensively mainly. I think Jared Allen, I said earlier, takes a step down offensively, and I think Evan Mobley takes a step up offensively. Sorry. Number 30 is going to be DeMontis Sabonis. I think he's going to take a step down. They get DeMar DeRozan on this team. He's still a very good player, but last year he was had an insane year last season. I just think he doesn't be as dominant as he was a year ago, but still a very good player here. 29, I have Tyrese Maxey. I get up on this team. If he's healthy, he's supposed to be out for like 2 weeks or so. Joel Embiid has his own injury issues, but I do think Tyrese Maxey takes a step down because of the additions of Paul George and other guys like Jared McCain and Kyle Lowry and that sort of stuff. 28, Jalen Williams. I think he takes a pretty big step up here. He was a really good player last year. He's still very young, so easily could take a step up here this year as well. 27 is going to be Trae Young. 30 on my rankings last year. Without DeJounte Murray, he's going to be the main guy on this offense to handle the ball. DeJounte Murray did a lot of ball handling last year. Without him on this team, it's all Trae Young. So I think Trae Young certainly is going to play like an all-star level player this year. He could average close to 27 points and 12 assists, honestly. Number 26, De'Aaron Fox. He's a really good player. He could average 27 points, 7 assists, 7 rebounds. Very good defensive player as well. He's going to be right around the same type of guy he was a year ago. 25, Karl-Anthony Towns. I think he's actually better here in New York than he was last year. I think, New York's going to have a whole bunch of spacing for him. He's not playing with Rudy Gobert. He's not playing with a guy that's going to, stop him from being able to kind of stretch the floor out. So this New York team is going to be deadly, and I think he's a big part of that. 24, Damian Lillard. He was number 18 last year, which was a down year already. I think he maybe, plays about the same that he did a year ago, maybe just slightly worse. Mostly because his postseason was very good last year. So even his regular season numbers last year probably would have been around number 24. But his postseason kind of inflated him there. 23, Paul George. Really last year, I think he's actually going to be better here in Philadelphia. I think, he's just going to have a lot of confidence, have a lot to kind of show out and prove this year in, Philadelphia. Number 22, Tyrese Halliburton. He's going to be right around the same type of guy he was a year ago. There's not much progression unless he just, goes out and averages 30 points a game. 21 is going to be Kyrie Irving. He's a big player for the Dallas Mavericks. A small regression this year. They do get Klay Thompson and stuff. His postseason was really good, so that helped him out a little bit. Still a very, very good player here for the Mavs. Number 20 is Jaylen Brown. He was 22 last year. He obviously did win Finals MVP and stuff, so some people are ranking him in the top 10 over Jason Tatum. I think that's retarded. I don't think he's, him and Jason Tatum, I think, are still on 2 different levels. It's not a huge gap, but it's just like this. It's like here to here. It's certainly a level. It's not like right on top of each other. There's definitely a gap between the two. Number 19 is going to be Paolo Banchero. He's 24 last year. Very, very good player. I think he's going to be very good this year. He could almost average 30 points a game for this Magic team. He's going to be a really good player going forward. Number 18, Victor Wembanyama. 28 last year as a rookie. I think he improves a decent amount here with Chris Paul coming onto this team. And number 18 is where he lies. Number 17 is going to be Jimmy Butler. Right around the same type of guy he's been the last few years. He's not a top 10 player anymore, but he's certainly in that next level of guys. Number 16 is going to be Jalen Brunson. Number 12 last year, I think he takes a small step down because, again, he was amazing in the postseason. I don't think he's going to be that good in the regular season. And also, they have better depth on this team than they did a year ago. Number 15 is going to be Duncan Mitchell. Same type of guy he was last year. He could average 30 points a game for the Cavs. Number 14, Kawhi Leonard. If he's healthy, which he's probably not going to be, but if he's healthy, he is certainly borderline top 10 player. One of the best two-way players in the league. Dominant offensively, but I just don't think he's going to be healthy. Number 13 is going to be John Morant. He was good last year, so he was unranked. He's healthy. He's easily, top 20 player in this league. He could be dominant, 27, 10 and 7 rebounds a game is very, very doable for him. He could average 30 points a game and 10 assists. He's that good. Number 12 is going to be Jason Tatum. He's going to be the same type of guy he was a year ago. I don't think he really progresses much. He could be, a little bit improved, maybe because he feels hurt by not really playing much in Olympic basketball, so he could have a fire lit in and try to, maybe dominate even more. But still, I don't really think he progresses much. I think he's the same type of guy. Number 11, LeBron James. Small regression for him this year. I think this is the year where Anthony Davis 100% is the best player on the Lakers. LeBron should be fine with that. He turns 40 in a couple months. Like, he does not have to be the best guy on his team. Still a borderline top 10 player in the league, though. Number 10 is Anthony Davis. I think he's going to be dominant this year. Offensively, dominant defensively, kind of like he has been in recent years. I just think he takes a small step back from last year because, again, his postseason numbers were absolutely insane. Number 9 is going to be Kevin Durant. He's going to be the same type of guy he's been the last few years. He's dominant, but I do not think he's the best player on his team. Number 8 is going to be Stephen Curry. Number 14 last year, I think he had a slight downgrade from where he's been the last couple of seasons, but his play in Olympic ball certainly makes me feel like he's going to be easily a top 10 player once again. Number 7 is going to be Devin Booker. I think he takes a little bit of a step up this year. I mean, he's been, a borderline top 10 player for a few years. I think this year he definitely takes a leap and becomes the best player on his team over Kevin Durant. Number 6, Joel Embiid. He was number 2 last year. I think he has a lot of injury issues this year. He already is injured, right? That's obviously a problem. He's already said he's not probably playing in any back-to-backs all season long. I don't think his numbers are going to be quite as good as they were a year ago. Number 5 is going to be Anthony Edwards. He was number 8. I think he improves a little bit. I think he averages 30 points a game and is certainly among the top 3 guys, or top 3 to 5 at least, in MVP voting. Number 4 is going to be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's going to be in the conversation. He's probably going to average 30 points a game again as well. Number 3, Giannis Antetokounmpo, the best two-way player in the league. He could average 30 points and 12 boards a game. Last year, he shot like 65% from the field, something like that. He could do that again. Number 2 is going to be Luka Doncic. He was 5 last year. I think he's going to, be number 2 this year. I think his turnovers go down a little bit, and I think his efficiency goes up a little bit, which is really his only issues. His defense isn't great, obviously, but I don't think his defense is ever really going to get that much better. Unless he just really, really taps in. I just don't see that happening. He's certainly the best offensive player in the league. And then number 1 is going to be Nikola Jokic. Him and Luka, I think Jokic is slightly worse than Luka offensively, but Jokic is a better rebounder, and he's better at defense than Luka Doncic. In my opinion, Nikola Jokic is 100% the best player in the league. So that is going to be it for the video. Thanks for watching. Make sure to check back, for all my power ranking videos and stuff. And make sure if you have not watched my other ranking videos, you go back and do that.